Although wearing a mask, washing our hands, and social distancing has helped to slow the spread of COVID-19, it's not enough. To date, over 33 million people have been infected with the coronavirus. Over 500,000 have resulted in death, while the virus continues to spread. Up to 80% of those actively infected with the virus are asymptomatic. This means individuals without immunity can be carriers of the virus. They have the ability to spread the virus, but do not show symptoms of COVID-19. Now that you know, make sure you educate and vaccinate, because coronavirus does not discriminate. Take your best shot against COVID-19. Get the vaccine.
From abandoned vehicle removals to working hand in hand with government agencies, the private sector, and everything in between, our Virgin Islands administrators are there for you. Stay up to date about your administrators every week on Administrators Corner. New episodes premiere every Tuesday at noon on the Government House Facebook page and throughout the week on the Government Access channel. And we want to hear from you. So email your questions to governmenthouse@go.vi.gov and be sure to put Administrators Corner on the subject line.
Heard? Yes, have you heard? It's important that we get vaccinated so that herd immunity can be achieved. What is herd immunity? Herd immunity occurs when enough people become immune to a disease to make its spread unlikely. As a result, the entire community is protected, even those who are not themselves immune. Herd immunity is usually achieved through vaccination. Let's be responsible. I got my vaccination shots. Have you? Take your best shot against COVID-19. Get the vaccine.
Good day, Virgin Islanders, at home and abroad. Welcome to Government House Weekly Press Briefing and COVID-19 Update for the week of May 24th, 2021. Joining me this afternoon is Dr. Esther Ellis on behalf of our Health Commissioner, Justa Encarnacion, to share the latest COVID-19 statistics, the latest on the vaccines, and to provide information on where you can get your free COVID tests. So before I say anything else, I just want to make sure and go to Dr. Ellis. I want to continue to stress to our community that the COVID-19 pandemic is still here. We can debate and protest the guidelines put in place, wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, but these guidelines that we have put in place have kept us safe. And the fact remains that as long as this virus is in our community, it will remain a threat to each and every one of us, especially those of us who are not vaccinated. I say this because while the numbers in St. Croix are looking really good at the moment, the number of active cases in St. Thomas as well as St. John are trending in the wrong direction. And if the numbers are trending in the wrong direction on any one of our islands, there is a potential for them to trend in the wrong direction on all of our islands. Please, I'm urging you to remain vigilant so that we don't erode the progress that we have made thus far. Remember, it only takes one person to infect hundreds of individuals. The only way out of this is to do what the science is suggesting we do. It has been working for us thus far, and I trust that it will continue to work for us, but we must stick with it. So please, continue to wear your mask. Practice social distancing with people outside your immediate household. Avoid going to mass gatherings and take the vaccine now. Take it now if you can. This is our only way out. It has been more than a year and I haven't seen anything else work but the diligence and the strong restrictions that we have imposed. I want to take the pause now and go to Dr. Ellis so she can update you on how we're doing thus far.
Good afternoon, and a big thank you to Governor Bryan and Department of Health Commissioner Justa Encarnacion for the opportunity to speak to you today about COVID. As of May 22nd, 2021, the Department of Health has conducted a total of 111,921 tests, of which 3,353 individuals have tested positive, and 108,568 were negative. There are currently 77 active cases in the territory, 64 on St. Thomas, 8 on St. Croix, and 5 on St. John. 3,249 cases have recovered, with 27 fatalities related to COVID-19. Our 7-day percent positivity has risen to 3.23%. This is mostly due to a surge in cases among unvaccinated individuals on St. Thomas. Between May 14th and May 20th, there were 68 new positives for the week. 61 of these were on St. Thomas, 4 on St. John, and 3 on St. Croix. All of these were among people who have not been vaccinated. Again, all of these cases were among people who have not been vaccinated. The majority of these were among those who worked in accommodation and food services. From our hospital, the Governor Juan F. Louis Hospital and Medical Center reports 0 COVID-19 admissions. The Schneider Regional Medical Center reports 4 COVID-19 admissions, of which none are vented. We are still offering pop-up testing, which is the rapid antigen test, for anyone that is not vaccinated. For anyone that is sick or a close contact, we do PCR at our daily drive-thru. Our EPI hotline remains open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. for callers who report suspected cases of COVID-19 at 340-712-6299 or 340-776-1519. You can pre-register for pop-up testing online at covid19usvi.com/testing. Here are upcoming events. St. Thomas at Home Depot, Tuesday, May 25th from 1 to 3 p.m. St. Thomas at Lionel Roberts Stadium, Thursday, May 27th, 1 to 3 p.m. St. Croix Canagata Rec Center, Tuesday, May 25th from 10 a.m. to noon. St. Croix at Home Depot, Thursday, May 27th from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. St. John at the Vipa Gravel Lot, Wednesday, May 26th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Thank you to everyone who has made the choice to get vaccinated. So far, 39,871 people have obtained at least one dose of a vaccine, which means that 50.2% of our population that can get vaccinated has at least one dose. 31,645 individuals are fully vaccinated, or 39.9%. Anyone 12 and up is eligible to receive the vaccine. Please make sure to have a parent or guardian accompany any minor that wishes to get vaccinated and bring an ID for both the minor and the parent or guardian. The Community Vaccination Center on St. John has closed, but there are still options for getting the vaccine on St. John, either at Island Health and Wellness Center, Inc., and that phone number is 340-714-4270, or Cruz Bay Family Practice, and that number is 340-776-6789. Whether fully vaccinated or not, everyone should follow the Department of Health's recommendations and local travel requirements that can be found at usviupdate.com. For information on the governor's executive orders, visit vi.gov. The Department of Health and its partners continue to work together to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, but it takes all of us. To keep up with the latest information, please visit U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Health Facebook page at www.covid19usvi.com. And for COVID-19 health information alerts, text COVID-19 USVI to 888-777. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis. And that is fantastic news that we're past the critical mark where 50% of our eligible population has actually had at least one shot, but that's not it. We have much more work to do. We need to get to 50,000 Virgin Islanders vaccinated. We can do it with your help. Please support that. And a lot of the things that we're talking about wouldn't be discussions anymore if we get to that 70-80% where we can get the herd immunity. We could go back to getting on with our normal lives. In other related news to COVID, this past Thursday, we issued another 10,000 American Rescue Plan stimulus checks totaling $23,420,288, courtesy of our very own Department of Finance and the Bureau of Internal Revenue. In the past week, it's now 3 consecutive weeks that we have sent out 10,000 checks. That's 30,000 Virgin Islanders who are on track to complete the $1,400 stimulus payments eligible to those Virgin Islanders. That should be completed by the end of the month as promised. As usual, we encourage you to help us circulate these stimulus dollars in our local economy by spending the money on goods and services locally. This is in keeping with the federal government's intention for utilizations of these funds. As a side note to the community, the BIRs, the Bureau of Internal Revenue's offices in Red Hook, have been closed due to a COVID-19 outbreak. So far, we're rescheduled to open. Wednesday, we had to go through the quarantine period, test our employees, and make sure that we clean the areas before we allow people in the building. If you have any question about your stimulus payment or refund check, you can contact the Bureau at 714-9325. As it pertains to some of the non-COVID related matters, I would like to thank our partners at the federal EPA for continuing to work with us on identifying the source of the noxious odors affecting residents west of our industrial corridor. While Lime Tree did in fact have instances where they released gases, and while there was a recent flare incident at the refinery, the identification of an open manhole at the Anguilla landfill may, and I stress may again, have solved some of the mysteries that was puzzling our investigatory team. We are having a difficult time matching up some of the readings of the gaseous odors detected in the community with the events that were occurring at the refinery. As it turns out, this additional source that was unaccounted for is very significant. And we say this because we want to make sure that as an administration, we always represent the facts to the people, that we don't make aspersions or jump to false conclusions. We get the facts. And that's why even now today I say may. on this matter. We have not had concrete, solid proof that this is a source that was causing all of the problems, but we do know that this manhole was having elevated levels of this odor in the surrounding area. Hopefully, we continue to work together with the EPA, the refinery, and our other partners in the industrial areas to make sure that we find the real source and that we stop it from happening so that our community and our people down on West End on a whole are not subjected to these noxious odors. Now, over the course of the last year, which was a very tenuous year, we have been continuously questioned and heavily criticized on the way we have chosen to handle the virus. And every single time we have proven that following the facts and the experts, we have made the right decision. Proving the most adamant of our critics wrong. Nowhere else to say it. That's what good leadership demands. Not getting on soapbox and banging the drum at the loudest, but it requires an ear to listen to the experts, a discerning mind to come to a logical conclusion, a heart and compassion to listen to the earnest plea of the people and what they want. But most of all, it needs the political will and the leadership to make unpopular decisions. We don't make or take these decisions lightly. We make those decisions based on the scarce resources available in our community and what is best for the majority of our residents, for our people. Tregenza and I, we love this community. That's 90% of the reason why we chose to run for office. We enjoy the same cultural traditions, celebrations, the way we embrace love and hang out and eat together. And we would love to have all those things back. We would love to get back to normal. But the simple fact is that we just ain't there yet. There are a few things as rewarding to me as seeing our students. I miss school so much. I love going to the schools and hanging out with the young people. And few things are as rewarding as the look on their faces and on their parents' faces, the pride that's beaming and the happiness when they receive their diploma. In fact, I witnessed it personally, and I made it a point to look at the face of the graduate and look for their parents, mommy, daddy, auntie, whoever was in the crowd, to see that pride of those families. 700 times or more, I witnessed that last week. Beautiful. With that said, I really want to take this opportunity to congratulate all of our graduates in the class of 2021. And when I finish, I got 2 more this week. The graduates of the University of the Virgin Islands, the adult education graduates, those students that receive their professional certification in the various trades from the Career and Technical Education Center, and of course our graduates from our 4 public high schools. Although there was a whole lot of chatter in the community and angst and anxieties, these were the same angst and anxieties we had last year when it was all virtual. The Department of Education and the administration moved the bar. We did a hybrid ceremonies on both islands, and I am incredibly pleased with how they turned out. I would like to thank the principals and the school graduation committees who were able to plan safe and memorable ceremonies. Quite frankly, from what I have heard from several parents and some students, they appreciated not having to sit through 4-hour ceremonies with countless lectures from politicians and everybody else. What we had instead was truly a celebration, and a celebration that focused on the most important thing, the graduates and their achievements and the parents who are raised these young ones from their very birth. If nothing else, this year's graduation was short, upbeat, memorable, and most importantly, safe. I want to say a special congratulations, and my heart goes out to the 20 or so students and their parents that couldn't make it to graduation due to a COVID exposure. We have not forgotten you, and we definitely going to try to do something special for you. This may cost me votes, but I'm going to say it anyway. I have to say the Central High graduation was the most memorable and enjoyable graduation that I have ever been to. So big ups to the Central crew. Everybody else was good too, but Central took the cake this year. So we got to say a little shout out to the Caribs over there in St. Croix. The drive-through graduation with people being able to get out the cars, the music, the upbeat, the whole atmosphere, perfectly executed, quote unquote, from the Daily News about the graduations. Flawless. We love that. But as we close out this current school year, our attention is really now focused and shifting to preparation for the next. I realize that not all of you have made the decision yet to take one of the vaccines available against the coronavirus. However, for those of you parents who have made the decision to take the vaccine, I want to encourage you to extend that level of security to your teenagers, as those above 12 are now eligible for it. The Pfizer vaccine has been approved for emergency use in, like I said, children 12 and older, and the ability to have those children join more than 31,645 Virgin Islanders who have already become fully vaccinated against the virus will lessen the potential disruptions to our campuses due to COVID outbreaks this year. The Department of Education has begun its plans to determine the manner in which they reopen schools. They are pushing forward in-person learning for all students, as am I. But if there is a heightening risk and the safety and the health of the students, faculty, and staff at that particular time, of course, we're going to institute Plan B, which is a hybrid model, which we proposed at the beginning of the last school year. If we can increase the number of vaccinated individuals in the community and the students attending school this fall, we will be solid. We can do that if we take the needed steps towards full in-person learning. Please try to be supportive. Please try to remember and be supportive of the fact that dealing with this virus is hour to hour, day to day. It's a struggle that you've been, the administration's been under for the last year. So it changes from time to time. We know how to adjust to change. Please be supportive of the Department of Education. I also want to congratulate the Department of Education for this school year. You know, nobody gives you credit for what doesn't go wrong, but I think they did an outstanding job of getting our K through 3 back to school in the hybrid form with least incident. They must be commended for their plan that was worked well, and students were able to go to school and remain COVID-free, as well as our faculty and staff. Closing out today, I just want to talk about one more thing. You know, in the United States, there's 3 branches of government. There's executive, judicial, and legislative. The one thing that's always stressed is that these are co-equal branches of government. The legislative is responsible for creating the laws. The executive is responsible for carrying out and enacting and producing subjects from those laws. And the judicial is there as a check to make sure that if the executive branch isn't doing what it's supposed to do, or the legislative branch isn't doing what it's supposed to do, they make a decision. We have taken on much water and grief over the vetoing of boards, revisions that have been proposed by the Senate. This is not political, it is not personal. The courts ruled last week that a law passed by the Senate reorganizing the hospital board that takes the power of the governor out of appointing members to those boards or removing members from those boards is unconstitutional, and rejected the law and caused it to be null and void. This is an important decision because one of the things that I fully understand when I took this job, when I campaigned for this job, is that all of the executive branch instrumentalities are the responsibility of the governor. That's WAPA, that's the hospital, that's the PSC, lottery, WICO, VINGN, go on. You can't, on one hand, blame the governor, not me, but everybody who came before and everybody who will come after for the responsibility of what's happening in those entities and not give the governor the ability to name people to the board and to take executive action to direct the trajectory of those organizations. I didn't make that up, and no governor before me did. That's what the Organic Act says, that all executive branch government instrumentalities are controlled by the executive CEO, which is the governor of the Virgin Islands. So as we move forward and we reject proposals to take that power away from the board and the executive branch and give it to other entities, it's not because we don't think putting in a help board or an overseer is not good for any of our instrumentalities. But we reserve the right and the responsibility to control those boards and to take the blame when things don't go right. The legislature has the right to reject any member for any board that comes before it, but it does not have the right to appoint members to the board or direct those appointments to anybody else but the governor of the Virgin Islands. That's not Albert, that's not Tregenza, that's not John DeYoung, Kenneth Mapp, or anybody. That's the Organic Act. So we thank the court, Judge Tejo, for her ruling, and maintain and will continue to maintain our ability and power to help produce, promote, correct all of these instrumentalities as we move forward to a brighter Virgin Islands. I think we have some questions from the press, but go ahead. Hi, Suzanne.
Is there more of an incentive to develop a system for Virgin Islanders to file taxes online without visit the office in person? I'm assuming that's one closure passed.
I didn't get that. Anybody? You want to know why we're not doing it online? The online system for filing, I think that was the gist of your question. The online system for filing is $30 million. We haven't been able to come up with that sum to allow for the on-filing system. We are working with the government of Guam and some private sector people to try to get an online filing system. We are close. We're not there yet. Did I answer your question, Susan? I think we lost her. Maybe she's in a bad place so she can't get the cell phone. Go ahead. Next question, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Governor Massive, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi, Ernest.
I have a few questions, so I can't hear, so I'm just going to ask all the questions so you can respond to them. The first one would be relative to the finding of the EPA, which you said was a significant finding. What you did not mention would be what the actions are being taken right now that you're privy to. So what are the actions that the EPA is taking right now, and what the actions the government is taking now that there's a manhole emitting that odor near the airport on Anguilla Estate? And that's one question. And the second question is relative to what you spoke of last. So you said, the separation of powers there among the branches of government and the authority of the governor. A concern amongst constituents to measures apparently aimed at bettering the authority. So the latest measure would be one that would call for a turnaround company, and that company would also look at measures to reduce the cost of electricity in the territory. Your argument for being so in it is, again, this is a function of the governor, and the legislature is stepping up across the boundaries there. Why are you going to introduce a measure on your own, or are you going to take action on your own that would make residents feel better about the state of WAPA? So, for example, would you seek a turnaround company to audit WAPA? Would you seek a turnaround company to help reduce the cost of electricity? And lastly, I heard that schools would be reopening on August 8th. I know you mentioned there that is dependent on, and I meant in-person learning is what I meant. And I know you said that's dependent on how the kids grow. But is that a tentative date that the government is looking at relative to in-person learning back in the territory, August 8th? Thank you, Governor. I can't hear anything, so I'll go to the live stream. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ernest. I'm going to answer what I think I can remember. The first one is about the manhole there. The obvious answer there is cover the manhole. We have done so, and the readings emitting from there have gone down, and we have had no real complaints over the weekend from there, and the readings they're taking thus far show really decreased levels of monitoring. So the EPA now has 5 stations up and monitoring, as well as the refinery is in the process of putting back on their monitoring equipment for whenever they turn on the refinery again. We're working jointly with the refinery as well as the EPA to make sure that we can have our residents safe first and foremost, and then secondly, to make sure that we have the refinery in operation again, as we all know what happened in 2012 when the refinery shut down and what a blow that was to us. The second set of questions, the second question was, Richard, what do you remember what the second question was? Oh, so
I think
wait. I got the second question was related to, I think I did a good job of explaining the separation of powers. The legislature approves everybody who goes on the WAPA board, including all of the commissioners that we put on the WAPA board. If the legislature wants to restrict who can be on the WAPA board even more than it is now, it puts an undue hardship on us to find people, number one, who are willing to go to the legislature and go through the questioning required to get approved. And then number two, actually has the qualifications to be on the board. The board in its existence has a professional in procurement, they have attorneys, they have business people, they have a professional in energy management, they have engineers, they have entrepreneurs. Everything that the legislature is asking of us in the legislation is already on the board. So the legislation on its base value seems to do nothing. In terms of putting in a turnaround company for WAPA, the legislation gave WAPA not a dime to hire this turnaround company, nor figured out how they would pay the turnaround company that would be in advice to WAPA. I don't know why there's this feeling by the community. I can understand the angst and the frustration, but WAPA is steadily moving forward with a plan that they have to, number one, create the efficiencies that needed to make the company stable, and number two, to lower your electrical rates. We're in the process of hiring a new CEO, a new CFO, a new head attorney, a new head of operations. So essentially, you're getting an entirely new team in there with fresh eyes to look at the problems that we have. At this point, WAPA's main problems are on the finance side. We have a situation with VTOL where we have to restructure the financing and the money that we owe them, that we have to pay them monthly. You have a situation in terms of the cash flow. People are using less electricity since the 2017 hurricanes. All of those things are being addressed. But the one thing we have that we never had before is the financial wherewithal to put in new generation to underground, to create new renewable sources of energy that WAPA is moving along quite well with. We ground broke on a project in St. Croix to put the underground in. The one in St. John is about to be in process. The generators over there, we're working on the solar project for St. Croix, but all these things take approval and time. The solar project in St. Thomas is coming up. The 3 new Wartzillas should be in here next month, and those going into place to help lower rates. So there are a lot of things going on at WAPA at one time, but the most precarious thing is their financial situation, which we work on tenuously. So it's not that I reject the thought that WAPA needs to have somebody look at its processes, but you could go to any PSC meeting or ask the WAPA board or their CEO, acting CEO, Mr. Noel Hodge, the millions of dollars that we've already spent in assessing what the problems were and how to solve them. The thing now is to do it and to have the leadership in place that gives the stability, that gives the utility an opportunity to enact all of the things that we want to change and make sure that we see them to the end. I think that was he had 3 questions though. I don't know what the third one. Oh, it's school opening. School is opening, as far as we know, on schedule for August 8th. Like I said, we're just preparing now to make sure and continue our maintenance and facility upkeep, which we have plenty of. I don't know if it's, I'll say it again, education was awarded some $49 million to deal with the ventilation, deal with the bathrooms and making sure they have soap and the sinks and all of that stuff in order to reduce the spread of COVID in our schools. So a lot of those contracts are going out. We also have another $168 million that was awarded to education. They're doing those plans and rolling out those plans. We're this close to having an agreement with the Community Foundation to release funding to the private schools. We want to give the private schools $2,500 per student to make sure that they have the ability to manage with COVID and recoup any expenses that they have been lost as a result of the virtual schools and students withdrawing and going to other schools. Next question. Next question.
Good afternoon again, Governor. Suzanne Carlson from the Daily News.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, sorry, I didn't hear any of your first response, so I'll go back and listen, but I've got three more questions. I'll try to make it quick.
Shoot.
There have been tourists arrested and tested positive for COVID on St. Thomas.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of questions about the fact that if it was released in order to stay at the hotel and then fly back to the States, was that necessarily improper though? I mean, I can't necessarily find any restriction that would prevent that from happening. And it could be by that, but is there something that could be done differently, or is someone required to quarantine until they test negative before they return? Well,
I mean, that was a judicial branch decision. I had that separation of powers thing today earlier, but we issue a no-fly zone to people who have, like, if you're a tourist and you test positive, we actually issue a no-fly order so the customs and the airport officials know that this person isn't allowed to fly until they produce a negative test for COVID-19. From what I've read, the magistrate put that person out in their own recognizance, and they were supposed to remain quarantined, but we're doing what we can. And they actually I think they ordered them back on the plane. That person will not be able to leave the Virgin Islands until they're COVID negative.
Okay, I appreciate the response. I reached out to Health Tourism and Government House about that and know the answer. So,
okay.
Companies filing for excess tax refunds, and it's potentially millions of dollars in revenue that the government had already received that should not have been collected because it was being collected under an unfair tax scheme. I realize the cases are still being litigated, but are you concerned about that? What effect might that have on the government's balance sheet?
No, I feel like we will prevail, and that's all I could say is it's subject to legal review.
Okay, and my last question is the gas is coming out of the manhole. Some people are saying that that's it, that's what it was, that's where the odors were coming from, and everyone should get back to work at the refinery. Is that necessarily accurate, or are there smells coming from at least two different places?
No, all of the evidence we have lead to the manhole for the most part. But that doesn't mean that wasn't, I mean, Hess admitted that they had releases. I keep saying Hess. Limetree admitted that they have had releases, and they're doing things like washing people's cars and going to people's houses and washing down where they have oil spray. They admitted that they did have, it may have some smells associated with releases from the refinery. But there are releases of some sort that we don't know where they came from. They don't correlate to anything that happened in the refinery. This manhole is another good source suspect and may have contributed to the odor, but that's not the extent of our investigation. It certainly isn't enough for me. It might be for other people, but we're going to continue to pursue it. We met with Limetree, Jeff Rinker this morning, and his team in person at Government House, and we discussed some of the things forward. They voluntarily shut down the plant before the EPA order, and admittedly they said they have some things that they want to make sure are running right before they turn the plant on. So it will be at least another 6 to 8 weeks before we see any resumption of stuff at the refinery, not dismissing the EPA order, which says 60 days. But they're trying to get some stuff done there and make sure that there's no more releases and that we have a smooth sailing for the refinery, because we don't want the people to be affected by this. And we need the confidence of the community so we can keep on with our industrial partner, of course, making sure that people are safe first.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Susan. I want to say a special shout out. You know, as Virgin Islanders, we have to learn how to big up people when they come in and coming up, not only when they get up, but this weekend I had the pleasure of reading Nuggets of Authenticity. It's a book that was written by former Senator Alicia Barnes. I was also went to her book signing this Sunday, and I think it's a really good read. It really sheds light on how one can be true to one's goals, their success path, regardless of what people have to say. I think it's a strong lesson in personal perseverance, also in leadership, as you have to be kind of in a mindset where you follow what you really think is a right thing to do. But otherwise than that, congratulations, Senator Barnes, on an excellent piece. Hopefully this is one of many more to come. And she also explains in the book why she didn't run for the legislature again. And it's not a long thing to read. It's a very short read, but it's very deep. So take some time out. Nuggets of Authenticity. Other than that, I would say be safe, be sanitized, love you, and have a fantastic week.